All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful frameworks for actually solving problems, the design thinking process. We're going to look at a model called the double diamond. It's basically a simple visual map that gets us to answer one critical question before we do anything else. Are we actually solving the right problem? So here's our game plan. First, we'll get the big idea behind design thinking. Then, we'll zoom right in on that double diamond model. We'll walk through the first half, the problem space, and then the second half, the solution space. And finally, we'll see how a little bit of reflection ties the whole thing together. Okay, first up, what even is design thinking? And why do we need a special framework just for solving problems? Well, it all comes down to this one question. We've all seen it, right? A project that delivers this beautiful, perfectly engineered product that nobody uses. And why? Usually it's because they solved the wrong problem. Design thinking is a system built to stop that from happening by making us pause and really, truly understand the challenge first. So instead of just guessing or running on assumptions, this process gives you a clear path to follow. It's like a map that guides you from that initial kind of fuzzy feeling of, I think there's an issue here, all the way to a tested and validated solution. So what does this map actually look like? Well, that brings us to the visual heart of the whole process, which is the double diamond model. And, a huge part of its power is just how simple it is to look at. It's a model that literally anyone on a team can understand and follow, and that keeps everybody moving in the same direction. And there it is, the double diamond. The absolute genius of this thing is how it splits the process into two totally separate spaces. That first diamond, that's the problem space. This is where you do nothing but understand the challenge. And the second diamond, that's the solution space. That's where you finally get to build the answer. Forcing that separation, well, that's the number one rule. So let's dive into that first diamond, the problem space. This is where we have to fight that massive urge to jump straight to ideas and solutions. Instead, we have to stay focused completely on the why. The shape of the diamond itself tells the story. You start wide, you diverge. You're doing research, talking to people, exploring every single angle you can think of. Then you start to narrow it all down. You converge. You take everything you've learned and focus it into one crystal clear definition of the real problem you need to solve. So this isn't just a single step. The problem space is actually made up of the first 3 phases of the process. This is where all that foundational work of discovery and definition happens. Honestly, getting this part right, it's everything. Now, once, and I mean only once, you've got that problem perfectly defined, then you can earn the right to move into the second diamond, the solution space. This is where we finally get to start building. With a super clear problem statement in hand, the team's entire focus shifts. We're moving from understanding to creating. This is where all the brainstorming, the sketching, the prototyping, and the testing of ideas finally comes into play. And just like that first diamond, this space follows the same pattern. It's made up of the next 3 phases of the process, where you again go wide to develop a bunch of potential solutions, and then you narrow back down to deliver the one that actually works the best. So let's just put it all together. On the left, you've got the problem space. That is all about finding the right problem. On the right, you have the solution space. That's all about finding the right solution. By keeping these 2 worlds completely separate, you avoid that classic trap of building a perfect answer to the wrong question. But hold on, the process doesn't just stop when you launch something. There's one last absolutely crucial step that turns this from a one-off project into a cycle of getting better, and that's reflection. It's not enough to just do the work. It really comes down to this. Learning is essential. After a project is done, the team has to actually stop and ask, okay, what did we learn? Where were we wrong? What would we do differently? This is where the real growth happens. Think about it like this. Experience is just the stuff that happens to you. Progress is what you do with it. If you don't have that reflection phase, teams are basically doomed to make the same mistakes over and over. This is the step that turns one project's experience into the entire team's long-term wisdom. All right, so let's zoom out one last time and just look at how this whole system works together in practice. It's really just a simple 2-step loop. First, you work your way through the 2 diamonds. You explore and define the problem, then you develop and deliver the solution. And then, step 2, you stop. You reflect on the entire journey to capture all those lessons, which makes you that much smarter for the next challenge that comes your way. And that's pretty much it. The double diamond process. It's so much more than just a diagram on a slide, right? It's a structured way to handle complexity and make sure that the things you're building are things that actually matter. So now that you have the map, what's the right problem that you're going to go solve first?